Okay, so I think we have pretty much everybody with us. So thank you everybody for joining us. I just want to let everybody know that we are recording this session. And so if you have any issues with that, you could just turn your camera off. This way people can access the session afterwards. And if anybody has missed it, we'll be able to take advantage of the session. So on behalf of Tech Access Canada, thank you so much for joining us. For those who may not know me, I'm Michelle Thompson. I'm the Director of External Relations, and our Executive Director, Ken Doyle, will be doing the presentation for you all today. We will be doing a webinar today on our Interactive Visits program, which is a really huge program for us. It's funded through NRC IRAP, and we have $1.1 million in funding. So our job is to train you all up on this program so that you'll be able to take advantage of it and be able to earn this money as revenue for your TAC. So today on the call, we have invited representation from our 6 newest TACs, the English-speaking TACs. We'll be doing another webinar tomorrow in French for our French-speaking TACs. Ken will be doing the presentation. He's going to let you all know how this program works and do a walkthrough of our portal and all of the important documents that you'll need to know about, different stages of the projects, and he will also be taking questions. So if you have any questions throughout the session, please feel free to use the chat function. And if you want to raise your hand at any time to ask questions, please do so. We're hoping that there will be time left in the end to take questions as well. So you can use, there's a little reactions button, and you can use any one of those little emojis to signal that you are raising your hand. So without further ado, I will turn everything over to Ken Doyle.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Michelle. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to walk through the Interactive Visits program today. I'm going to give you a deep dive into the program, expenses, charge out rates, that kind of thing. Some best practices other TACs have used to leverage the program to acquire new clients, earn some additional revenue. And then how to incorporate it into your other activities. We'll do a walkthrough of the portal, which is critically important because everything happens on the portal. And then I'm happy to respond to questions as I'm going or at the end. It's all good. Michelle will be moderating because I'm going to be trying to share screens and run through this. So what's important to know about the Interactive Visit is it is a Tech Access Canada program. It's funded by the National Research Council's Industrial Research Assistance Program. It's the largest contribution agreement they've ever signed in their history, and they've been around for 60 years, so we're very proud of that. And it wouldn't be remotely possible without our membership. IRAP understands the TACs are a merit-based designation of excellence, and we've been running this program since 2016, and they just keep getting happier and happier with our performance and with the connections they're making to the TACs. So this program is only open to the member technology access centers of Tech Access Canada. While colleges have a wide array of research expertise, this is only for the domains of expertise that your TAC covers in the region. So effectively, why this works so well is you are subcontractors to Tech Access Canada, and Tech Access Canada is a contractor to the National Research Council. So that makes a difference on some of the financial aspects I'll touch on a little bit later. So one of the things we've seen from some of the other members is this will make you a better TAC. It'll really help figuring out the fee-for-service, charge-out rates, documentation, etc., so that the activities you undertake with us as any sort of third-party organization would be the same you may do with other clients or regional authorities, that kind of thing, for service work as part of your TAC mandate. So we know and love the TACs, and we've tried to design a program and process that lets you do what you do rather than you have to contort to a program that's been lazily copy pasted from the university world or something like that. So we're using this model of attacks of subcontractors to the network as the model for additional pilot projects we might try with talent or other sorts of initiatives. So jumping into the slides, probably useful to do a bit of a glossary of terms that I'm going to touch on today. NRC is the National Research Council, not to be confused with NSERC. So NRC has institutes across the country, and they also own number 2, IRAP, which is the Industrial Research Assistance Program, which was set up many, many years ago to help small and medium-sized Canadian companies grow through investing in innovation and commercialization. And the way IRAP judges its success is if the companies increase their revenues or number of full-time employees, make a bigger impact to Canada, commercialize some technologies. So that program touches about 8,000 companies a year and funds about 3,000 companies a year. And probably important to keep in mind that there's 2 million companies in Canada, 1.1 or 1.2 have employees on payroll. So this is not for every company in the country. CTO, contribution to organization agreement, your college may have one, or another group that you're a part of. This is effectively, the Interactive Visits is a contribution to organization agreement, but a pan-Canadian one. ITA is the Industrial Technology Advisor. That's sort of an IRAP caseworker that the IRAP clients have to give them advice and help them along their journey to commercial success. Each ITA has a portfolio of 10 companies they're very close with, and then maybe 20, 25 other companies in their region that they're responsible for. And they cycle in and out of portfolio often. But that's probably the way to look at them, as sort of a caseworker with these companies. And they'll put together a multi-year plan for them to help them succeed in the market. And we're just a stop along the way. CEA is a new thing, Client Engagement Advisor. One of the questions we get the most is, what is an IRAP company? Well, IRAP's decided to create this position to complement what the 1877 call center activities are, where a CEA will chat with a company, give them a closer qualitative look, and see whether they might be acceptable for IRAP support. Client, when we refer to client, we're talking about incorporated small Canadian businesses that are trying to grow through investing in innovation and commercialization of a product, process, or service. I'll get to that in a second. Portal, we're talking about Tech Access Canada's secure proprietary online project tracking portal that we've been building since 2016. It makes life easy for everybody. And then SOW, I'll refer to that a bit. That's a statement of work for Milestone 2. So in a nutshell, the interactive visits provide up to 20 hours of access to the facilities, equipment, expertise of attack for an IRAP company that has a specific technological problem to solve, wants to explore new technologies that will make it more innovative and productive, or has any sort of other just a bump in the road where they need some troubleshooting and your assistance. So we're able to provide them with 20 hours of collaboration with you to solve their problem. And because it's at the 20-hour threshold, it doesn't constitute a pre-existing relationship. So that company can then go on and do an engage with you or an ARD, that kind of thing. So it doesn't prejudice them from further projects or leverage projects through granting councils or others. Here are just some of the use cases we've seen over the years. I mean, it's a very wide-ranging, flexible program where to date, I really don't think we've turned down anything, and that's likely because of the process that's involved and how the ITA refers their client once they've hit a bump in the road. But it's if you're in the food innovation space, recipe development or scale up to production, advanced manufacturing could be building a prototype or testing 3 or 4 different kinds of material for the widget that you'd like to build and commercialize. So it's very flexible. They're supposed to be either technical service engagements or business service engagements, and sky's the limit so far. The process, again, was designed to be phenomenally easy and efficient. So this slide is from the point of view of a company where they've hit a challenge, they need help, they talk to their ITA, who's their effectively caseworker, who says, okay, I think I know who can help you, let's send you to ATTACK and do an interactive visit. They'll articulate the challenge through an online submission form, and then if they know which ATTACK they want to work with, it'll get assigned to you, you read it over and be like, yep, we can help. You figure out what you're going to do with those 20 hours and then write it up, what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take, and we approve it. Wish you well, you go forth and collaborate, and then send us an invoice and a summary after it's done, and we reimburse you. So far, the record from an initial inbound request from a company to approving the statement of work from the TAC is 23 minutes. So when we say we designed this to be quick and efficient, we weren't joking around. Um, it's a very responsive program. Here are some of the stats. We've done almost 700 since 2016, 3/4 for tech services, 1/4 for business services. 83% completed their visit. There's a lot that just do not go the full 20 hours for a variety of reasons I'll touch on a bit later. We're talking a $3,000 engagement. Some of them are 2,000, some of them are 5,000, but the average has been about $3,000 per project. And what's really cool is in the last 12 months, 41% of the completed interactive visits have moved on to a follow-on R&D project between that client and a TAC, and that could be an Engage, an ARD, an NRC IRAP funded project, a provincial investment, or just straight cash fee for service. And we track the follow-on R&D investment of that, and for every dollar that the interactive visits put down writ large, it's been $4.41 of follow-on R&D funding. So the federal government loves that because we're helping to move the needle on the business expenditures on R&D. And again, it's not a billion-dollar program, but it's a great little starter program, sort of a catalyst to spark a much deeper relationship between you and the company. So because it's Tech Access Canada's program, we got to set the rules. And obviously there's a contribution agreement with NRC IRAP that has the official rules and guidelines, but we've tried to design it to be flexible and rational. So
I have a question.
Sure.
Are materials or equipment purchasing allowed under this program?
Oh, we're going to get to that. Where materials, yes, equipment, no, with asterisks. There can be no residual value for any materials purchased for the project, and nothing that is considered capacity building can be supported through the interactive visits. But yes, so supplies, materials, consumables, all that is totally fine, and we'll touch on that in a second. But as far as, I mean, the expectation is that you already have the facilities and equipment you need to service these companies. So if you do need to buy a piece of equipment for a one-off project, that's your decision. If it can be used for 5 or 6 visits, that's even better. You can charge us machine time for the use of the equipment, which will help you sort of offset the cost of that capital expenditure. Right, rules of the road. So only open to IRAP firms in good standing that have been referred by their ITA. So like I mentioned, not every company can be an IRAP company. In good standing is also critical, where they may have been assigned an ITA 7 years ago, but they haven't held up their end of the bargain, so they've been put on the naughty list. And then, you know, there's a check and balance with the ITAs here, so we'll get to that in a bit. But they have to be referred by their ITA for the visit. They can't do it behind the ITA's back. And then there's a $250 access fee that they pay to you that you keep. And this is just a way to ensure that whoever wants to do an interactive visit with you is ready to rock and roll and not just kicking the tires and trying to figure something out. So if the firm does not have an ITA or doesn't qualify for an ITA, they cannot participate in the program. If there's companies you know of who might be a good fit for IRAP, they love the idea of you sending traffic their way. And that's, I'll get to that in a little bit. So the maximum cumulative amount of TAC team time spent is 20 hours on the collaboration. Don't worry about travel time because you can help companies in any part of the country. It's not 20 hours per person on your TAC team. It's 20 hours cumulative. So maybe, you know, 5 of a project manager, 10 of a lab tech, and 5 of a scientist. That's cool. That's 20. If it's 21, we run into problems. If it's 12, that's no problem at all. We can reimburse you for the time, but I'll get to that as a bit as well. Every aspect of the visit is done through the portal. So if you don't have a user account or a login, please let us know. We'll get you sorted out. We'll be doing a walkthrough in a little bit. There's no limit to how many users we can have on the portal. So you don't have to share logins or anything like that, but it's entirely your discretion. We're happy to accommodate whatever works best for your center and your operations. So the Interactive Visits Program 2020, it's live right now. It ends March 31st. All activity has to be done March 31st. It cannot carry over. Everything has to be done and invoiced by March 31. I cannot stress that enough. At present, we have 1.1 million for the year. If we blow through that, there's a possibility of getting topped up to respond to the demand, but that's to be determined. We really have to work on spending that 1.1 million first. So we're hoping to deliver at least 400 visits. There's about 300 days left until that deadline, and we're already doing okay. I mean, we are right now where we were in October last year, and there's 13 new tax joining the family this year. So I'm cautiously optimistic we'll be doing some real good numbers for IRAP, and they'll be very happy with us. But it's live right now. It's open. The way IRAP works is the ITAs. Each ITA also has an individual bit of money that they can leverage projects with those companies, and then either they do it themselves in-house or they get a third party like yourselves to help them. They have to have all their funding, individual ITA funding, committed by the end of June. So they're working really hard. They were working on COVID at the beginning of the year, and then that injection of funding into IRAP companies to help them survive during that COVID pandemic. And now they're working on placing their projects for the year by the end of June. And then after that, they're going to be turning their sites to the interactive visit and really sending traffic your way. So the timing of these webinars and getting everybody onboarded is going to work really well. So this is the question we get the most. What is an IRAPable company? It's tough. There are criteria that IRAP has. They are not able to make them public. The criteria varies by region because it's a supply and demand issue. And effectively, they're looking for innovative companies that have a widget that they're trying to get to market and commercialize. Officially, the criteria are incorporated, profit-oriented in Canada, SME, under 500 FTEs, and they really want to grow and generate a benefit to Canada. So I know that definition is so wide you could drive a truck through it, but it's what we have right now, and that's why the importance of CEAs to it, where the more you're able to build a relationship with the CEAs and the ITAs, the better idea you're going to get of what a potential IRAP company looks like, so that nobody's setting any of our potential partners and clients up with false expectations. To put a bit more color on it, we were able to pull the stats from last year on the companies that did interactive visits and give you an idea of the firm size. I mean, we're looking at 20, 25 employees, been around for 10 years, been doing R&D maybe halfway through that when they got started. And then the firms by primary industrial sector, a quarter of them manufacturing, quarter ag food, and then 15% science and tech. The rest come from the other sectors. This is interesting because the number one category of companies in the IRAP fold is ICT, information communications technology. So, but this is just how the referrals broke down. So no harm, no foul, but those are the kind of companies that tend to fit the profile of an IRAP company. So let's dive into the program and some, softer rules of the road. You can help anybody anywhere in the country. We can help pay for your travel. The client has to pay their own travel to come to you, but if you want to go out to them, and in some sectors that's important to be in situ and work with them, we can assist with the cost of airfare, train, rental cars, hotels, meals, that kind of thing. 20 hours is just the time with the company, not the other stuff. And then so the 20 hours at your charge out rate, not your direct cost, and you'll see that being a bit different than like insert programs and such. This is whatever you're saying your market rate is. And then the 20 hours of just collaboration, those are the easiest projects to do and reimburse for because it's just tapping into your brain power. However, in a lot of sectors and types of projects, there's a need to build a prototype. So materials, supplies, consumables, machine time, testing, either in-house or external, those are all valid expenses. You just have to articulate them on the statement of work. And for anything external, just show us a copy of the receipts. Same with the travel. And if your college or another group you're part of has an existing IRAP CTO or some sort of other program, you can use this in conjunction with that. A lot of the members use the interactive visits first, because it's 20 hours, and they'll do it with say 10 or 12 companies, and then use that as a filter to figure out which 6 may warrant a deeper dive project, maybe something like $10,000 of support through their own CTO or another program, to filter that down to maybe 3 or 4 that'd be good for an Engage or an ARD2. So there is no problem if you're already participating in another CTO or program. You can still use our program, no harm, no foul. The maximum is 2 visits per company per year, and that year resets April 1, March 31. They can be 2 visits with the same TAC, or 1 visit with one TAC, 1 visit with another TAC. They have to be different challenges or different things. They can't just daisy chain 2 visits together to make a 40-hour visit. That'll get rejected every time. So you have to, the way you write it up matters in what the challenge is, and articulating that and showing they're different. Could be 2 different products, could be recipe development, shelf life testing, that kind of thing. That's fine. If you've worked with companies before, so this is different than an Engage, totally fine to work with them again. We have some companies that will do their 2 interactive visits with the same TAC every single year, and they have since 2016, and that's totally fine. Clients you've worked with before, no problem. New clients, even better. Just have to be IRAP clients. The 20 hours is at your market charge out rate, not your direct cost. And that's the importance of it going NRC IRAP contracting Tech Access Canada, and then us subcontracting you. Where NRC IRAP wants to see our pay stubs and rates and all that for the reimbursement, but you're a third-party contractor to us, so whatever invoice you put in front of us, we'll pay you at the rate you're saying. Of course, there's asterisks and rules to that, but we'll get to that in a bit. The company has to pay you $250 up front. You keep that. That doesn't come off the total bill at the end. It's just sort of a token sum to ensure that we're getting the right kind of clients through the door and they're ready to rock and roll, because if they can't come up with $250, there's other problems. But otherwise, it's just to help you offset some of the other indirect kind of costs in the back end. So it's a modest sum, but it can add up if you do 20 or 30 visits. And this, I cannot stress this one enough. Keep the client's ITA informed of your progress. So the ITA is like a caseworker, and they have the companies, and they're going to be with them for 3, 4, 5 years. This journey from getting that idea scribbled on a napkin to growth and product and store shelves and revenue and all that kind of stuff. They have a game plan for that company, and we are just a bit part of that, a transactional element of that. So they have to refer the client for an interactive visit, and the challenge that we're solving for them has to help advance them closer to that path to success. Could be years down the road. If we try to do visits with companies without keeping the ITA informed or do it behind their back, A, it's a bad look for the TAC, and B, it's a bad look for the company, and it could derail some of the reasons why the ITA was doing what they were doing and set the company back. And it's really, really not a good look for any of us. So please keep them CC'd on emails and in the loop on everything, because the better relationship you develop with all the ITAs, and there's 350 of them out there, the more traffic they're going to send your way and the more they're going to trust you. So I can't emphasize that one enough. Keep the ITAs in.
Ken, we have a question.
Sure.
Can you please touch upon sales tax and GST? Is it reimbursable, or does the company pay it?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. And the beauty of having a pan-Canadian membership is that everybody does stuff a little bit different. There are some TACs that do not charge tax on applied research work or fee-for-service work. There are others that do. Some just charge GST, some HST, some PST. We will respect whatever you want. So the invoice you send us, if it has tax, we'll pay it. If it doesn't, no problem. That's your business, your rules, your finance folks' discretion. For the 250, because I'm going to get to how we can collect it on your behalf as well. We were advised by our auditors recently that we should have been collecting tax on it from day one, and so it's 250 plus tax. So if you collect it, again, that's your discretion whether it's just 250 inclusive of tax or 250 plus tax. But when we collect it on your behalf, it's going to be $250 plus tax, and we'll reimburse that to you when you invoice us at the end. It's a bit of a process related one, but your decision to charge tax on the interactive visit is entirely yours. If you do it, we'll pay you. If not, that's no harm, no foul either. Great. So companies is, oh, and I guess they're real quick. The 1.1 million's out there, and it's first come first serve. So there's no limit to how many visits each TAC can do. We have some members doing 30, 35, 40 visits a year, others doing none or one, and that's totally. So don't worry about it. Eligible and ineligible expenses to give you a flavor of what is in scope and out of scope. So I've mentioned supplies, consumables, material. Filament for a 3D printer? Absolutely. If you're going to make a prototype, you're going to use the supplies, we can reimburse you for that. Purchasing a 3D printer or attachments for the 3D printer just for that visit? No, that's capacity building. We'd expect the TAC to buy that themselves and charge us machine time for it. So machine time for existing TAC equipment at the published charge out rates, totally fine, but purchasing a random software license or something just for one visit for one client, we're unable to do that because again, it's capacity building, it's material. Ingredients for recipe development, sure. Testing equipment for recipe development, unfortunately not. Travel costs for your team members to do the visit because it's been scoped, you've got a statement of work, you have to go help the company, absolutely. The company coming to you, we can't help out with that. Travel just to scope out an interactive visit or maybe just do some business development, that kind of thing, unfortunately we cannot help with that. It has to be the travel to go do the visit where there is a deliverable at the end of it. Building prototypes, absolutely. Attachments, accessories to construct the prototype for, I don't know, 3D printer, robot arm or something like that, no, sorry. External testing and analysis, no problem at all. If you need to get some samples analyzed as part of the visit using a third-party lab, no problem. Just keep the receipts and add that cost to the end of the invoice at the end of the visit. If you can estimate it in the statement of work, fantastic. Ineligible internal testing and analysis. So if you just arbitrarily do some testing and then invoice us at the end, we can't help with that. If you have a list of your sort of package prices for internal tests that are delivered and you provide us with that, just like the machine time dollars per hour charge out rates that we can refer to, no problem at all. We can reimburse for that. The internal testing has to be like a package price. It can't involve any technician time or anything like that. Everything has to be built in. I keep talking about charge out.
Sorry, Ken, is the equipment hour separate from the 20 hours?
Yeah, and again, it's within reason. So we can't be doing 240 hours of machine time to build a prototype. But the 20 hours of human time is that. And if you need, to run a machine 5 or 6 hours to do a test or test the tensile strength of something, no problem. Just put that in the statement of work. And anything that raises flags before we approve it, we'll circle back with you and check and just get some clarification to make sure everybody's on the same page. Charge out rates, I keep talking about those. These are just a guideline that we've provided to IRAP that they're comfortable with seeing. And it's not just a one size blanket, $200 per hour. There has to be some variance in the charge out rate per position, but we need you to provide us with your list that looks exactly like that with the role and then the rate you're going to be invoicing us at. Purely just for when we inevitably get audited to show that yes, what they invoiced us for was in spec with what they charge to any other external client. So these are some of the prices, but if it's less or more, that's totally fine. But this is where you have to build in all of the costs. So the direct salary plus the benefits plus the overhead plus has to all be encapsulated in that hourly charge out rate for that human resource that you're deploying on that project. Yes, the $250 access fee, I think we covered that one. An important part is that a lot of the members have told us that to collect $250, which is a fairly minor sum, can be painful, and especially verifying it's been paid. can sometimes cost thousands of dollars of internal resources for 250. It didn't make a lot of sense. So we decided that we can build in a functionality where we can collect that on your behalf through the portal. You have a specific link to your TAC that you share with the client, and then they go in and they can pay either cash, check, credit card, PayPal, e-transfer, and we'll collect that money. We'll update the portal, and then when you invoice us at the end of the project, it'll be for the 20 hours plus all the costs, and then another line item for that $250, and then we'll send it your way. So a lot of the members have found it useful. A lot of the members collect the 250 on their own. We're fine with either way. We're fine with either way. It's just the client has to pay that $250, and then it's really supposed to be the client pays the 250 and then the visit can start. You shouldn't be starting work before the $250 is paid. And that's why we say it sort of unlocks that 20 hours of collaboration. So to sum up sort of this part of the journey, what we're going to need from you is which users you need for the portal, and then updating your capacity and profile. We'll walk through that on the portal. The charge out rates per position, if you don't have them, it's a best practice you should be adopting. The list of machine time charge out rates, testing, other costs. If you haven't thought it through, no problem, but now's a great time to try to figure out what, 4 hours of a 3D printer is worth, and what that hourly charge out rate would be. And then templates for the statements of work and invoices, where I'll be showing you a few of the examples in a bit, where develop your own templates and send them in and upload them as part of the process. So the portal, very important. The ITA, when they said, okay, my clients hit a roadblock, a TAC can help them, they're going to send them to portal.techaccess.ca. And there's an online submission form that asks a bunch of background analytic data that we need, as well as basically, what's your challenge? What have you done to resolve it? What do you want the end result to be? What's your timeline? And if they know which TAC they want to work with, they'll choose it, which is great, makes our life easier. If they don't, problem, we can connect them to a TAC that might be able to help them using the jump ball method. And then we'll assign the project to you. So let's see. I was trying to think if now's a good time for a run through. No, we'll go through the PowerPoint first, and then I'll go back and do sort of a live run through. So each project has 5 milestones on the portal that you have to hit. And then at the completion of that, the project's done and we can reimburse you. So the first milestone is once that request comes in, it's interesting where if they know the TAC that they want to work with, the portal will CC you on that inbound request, and you'll get a chance to read it over. Consider that a heads up. You can't do anything yet. It doesn't appear in your dashboard. But if it all looks good, we'll assign it to your TAC, and then you can go in and see it. And then you just have to, after you've read through the request, decide, yes, I'd like to undertake that project, or no, not for us, reject it. And we'll try to find somebody else who is in a position to serve. The expectation is that you'll be familiar with most of these companies. There'll either have been maybe some pre-existing discussions, or maybe you gave them some guidance on filling out the form. That's totally fine, but a lot of times it is just a random shot in the dark that the company puts in, and they've never met you before. But based on your profile on the website and everything, they're like, okay, I think they can help me. So they're going to articulate what they need to do. And then if you have any questions, their contact info is there. Feel free to reach out and chat with them, because the next step is going to be you defining what 20 hours can accomplish versus what they want. So milestone 1, it's your responsibility to either accept or reject the project in the portal. Milestone 2, again, it's on you. This is loading the statement of work.
Quick question for you, Ken.
Yep.
Is there a service agreement completed through the portal?
No, you can use your own internal one with the client. That's fine. If you need any sort of service agreement between Tech Access Canada and yourselves, we can sign that. We find like overarching umbrella service agreements for a year are much easier, or even multiple years are much easier than a one-off every time. But if you need us to sign a one-off quote or something every time, no problem. We have examples of all these kind of things, and then there's other centers who are just totally fine, because it's a weird relationship where you're working with client X, giving them the deliverable, but then sending us the bill. So whatever you need internally, we're happy to accommodate. And then milestone 4 may sort of act as a proxy for that to cover any questions you might get internally. I guess the other way I look at it is if you did a service agreement with that company, like any other sort of non-disclosure and IP and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. It's frankly none of our business, even though we're going to be the one paying the bill at the end of it. So milestone 2, statement of work. It's a very simple document. What are you going to do in the 20 hours? Who's going to do the work? What's their charge out rate? And then are there going to be any other costs beyond those 20 hours of human time needed to deliver on this project? If you need to travel to go work with the company because it can't be done remotely or through the mail, just give us an estimate of those costs and try to justify why it has to be done. So you'll complete that document, load it up to the portal, just like uploading any sort of doc or PDF. And then a best practice is you also email it to the client and copy their ITA and Tech Access Canada. We get that the funding piece may be a bit proprietary or awkward. So if there's a statement of work that doesn't have any of the financial piece of it that you'd like to send to the client and copy their ITA via email, just explaining what you're going to do, what the collaboration is going to look like, that's perfectly fine. But for what you upload to the portal, we need the financial piece. And the only people that will see that are Tech Access Canada. So don't worry about that. Everything's very secure and confidential. Milestone 3, or no, milestone, oh yeah, okay. So the stuff that we cannot see on the statement of work, very important. More than 20 hours of time. If you say we're going to do, we're going to build this prototype and it's going to take 34 hours of time. No, just no. Any sort of overhead or college markup charges that they may put on other invoices for other sorts of projects or funding agencies, can't see it. Build it into the hourly charge out rate. Any sort of really extreme expenses or purchases, like anything above $5,000 or $10,000 on a one-off expense, just flag that with us before you submit the statement of work. Again, capacity building purchases, anything that's going to have a material value at the end of the engagement cannot be on the statement of work. It's just an ineligible expense. And that's part of our contribution agreement with IRAP and IRAP's terms and conditions. They cannot fund capacity building the same way other government entities can. Travel without justification. Do you really need to go see the client? Just make the case for it, please. Again, how you write it up matters. And then just please email the client and the ITA with a version of the statement of work saying you're excited for the collaboration. I mean, that's just a good business development client relations practice. And the ITAs love to see it, and the client feels good and special as well. So that's milestone 2. So at this point, you're pretty much off the hook because milestones 3 and 4 are on us. So milestone 3 is just verifying that the ITA has been correctly identified and that the statement of work that you've loaded is authorizable, for lack of a better term. So we're going to take a look at that. If we have any questions, we'll circle back to you. And if you have to re-upload it, that's fine. You just go back into milestone 2, click that file, drop-down box, upload, and just replace that file, and then it's all good. So if that's in order, we can authorize that. Milestone 4, again, that's on us. A pretty simple one. We're going to make sure that the ITA referred the client, because in the submission form, they're asked 3 times, did your ITA refer you for the visit? And if they answer yes, and they have to because it's stage gated. So if they answer yes 3 times, well, we've built in a kill switch where the ITA gets a separate email, and I'll show you that in a bit, asking them point blank, did you refer company X for an interactive visit? And the ITA chooses yes or no. And if it's no, that shows up on milestone 4, and we cancel the visit because that's not cool. If we do see a green check mark, that's we love to see, and that's like 99.9% of the visits are that green check mark, we'll upload a fairly generic authorization document that says Tech Access Canada will reimburse you for the expenses incurred in this visit if you submit eligible expenses and do everything properly. So a lot of people use that as the agreement between Tech Access and their TAC, and that we develop that stage so that people can allocate the internal resources, being confident that they're going to get reimbursed at the end of it. And then milestone 5, this one's back on you, where and I should say milestone 3 and 4. I mean, when we get notified that you've completed milestone 2, and there's no issues, we can authorize that, take care of milestones 3 and 4 in a matter of minutes. So it's really nothing to worry about if everything's in spec. And the more visits you do, the easier it gets. And milestone 5, you've gone off, you've collaborated, and now the project has come to a conclusion. Fantastic. So milestone 5 is the work completed. You're done. What did you do with the 20 hours? How'd it go? What was the deliverable? Ideally, you'd email the summary or the report or whatever it is to the client and the ITA if that's possible. If it's not, that's understandable. Totally depends on the nature of the visit. If you have any pictures or video or media or collateral or anything, action shots that you can share, please upload them as well. We love that stuff. We need that stuff. And it's something people often wish they'd done over the course of the visit, but that'll really help. And anything that you need to blur out or kept confidential, no problem at all. We'd also, if the report could also mention if there's any, that if you see any potential for future collaboration, a follow-on project, what that looks like. And if this interactive visit with a catalyst for that, that'd be great to hear. So that's milestone 5, work completed, that's uploaded, you've hit all the check marks. Now what historically has been the most difficult part is loading the project expenses, where there's 2 steps. First of all, we need your invoice, and a lot of TACs do not have their own invoices. It's their host college that prepares the invoice, and that's done through finance, which could be campuses away, miles away, that kind of thing. And there may be no real connection between the finance folks and you folks. So, and the invoices, oh my stars, they can be very generic and awful. So that's fine, but we also need a supplemental tax specific invoice that you can just make your own template in-house that explains what we need to see in order to process that invoice. So it has to be addressed to Tech Access Canada. We need the name of the client on, and now I'm really talking about the tax specific invoice. Who was the client? Because yeah, you did a visit, it's great, sounds great, but what client, so we can match it to the project. The 20 hours, we have to see the role and the amount of hours, and it has to max out at 20. Were there any supplies, consumables, that kind of thing, with receipts? And then if there were any travel costs, I mean, airfare tickets, train tickets are easy. If it's by car, that's no problem. We can pay the kilometric rate. We just need the start and stop locations or whatever. More details, the better. So if all that could be put together in one PDF and loaded for the project expenses section, that would be just so great. It has to be done on the portal, like emailing us or sending us a snail mail copy, no problem, but somebody from your TAC has to at least upload it to the portal to satisfy that requirement. We just can't do that for everybody. So some of the things we cannot see on the invoice, because remember, IRAP, us, you as subcontractors, we're claiming your invoices to be able to reimburse you. So when they get the claim and they see your invoices, if any of this stuff shows up, it gets rejected, and then the entire claim gets held up, which upsets the entirety of the network. So overhead, administration, no, we can't see that. Even if it's a standard operating procedure to mark that up, we just can't see that. More than 20 hours. If it's 21.4, no. Travel time costs or any daily per diem salary, nope. Charges, like how you write up the use of off-the-shelf software, regular lab stuff where it's not on your machine time charge out list, that's not going to work. And then anything that looks like a capacity building expense. The safest thing to do is just make a declaration on that tax specific invoice when there are supplies and materials. None of the materials or consumables used in this project had any material value at the end of it. Any prototypes built left with the company to make or break or test on their own. So that's phase one of the project expenses. Again, the more you do, the easier it gets. The proof of payment is phase two, where if you can just upload the proof of payment for that $250 access fee, it's that would be just divine. So even a picture of the receipt or a copy or something. Just that's another box that we have to see checked before we can process your invoice for reimbursement. If we're collecting on your behalf, well, then the onus is on us to get that PayPal summary or a screenshot or something and upload it so that you know your clients paid you. And then you can add that to your invoice and we'll reimburse you. So quick recap of the milestones and whose responsibility, because sometimes we see a lot of people get hung up when their projects at stage 2 and they can't do stage 3 and 4. Well, that's because that's on us to do. So 1 and 2, accept the project, develop a statement of work, TAC responsibility. Designate the ITA, authorize the project, that's on Tech Access Canada. And then complete the work, that's on you, and then the project expenses. So with that, I think I may pause, and if anybody has any questions, I'm going to try to share a different screen. Oh, bother, gone the wrong way. Oh, screen sharing. Okay, let's do a walkthrough of the portal. Yeah, okay, screen sharing, new share, screen 2, and share. Okay, so this is an example of what you'll see when you log in and you go to your own tax profile. What we see at Tech Access is a bit different than you because we have sort of the overarching view. But what we're looking at here is the tax profile, and these are all the different things that you have control over. It's not critical. We've pre-populated them, but so you've got your name, areas of specialization, time zone, that kind of thing. Your main point of contact, if you have any staffing changes at your TAC and that say that person is no longer there, you can go in and update the contact details for that person. ITA coordinator contact details, don't worry about that. That'll come later this summer. Workload settings, an important one, where the workload that you give us will basically have the what are the maximum amount of interactive visits that you could undertake at one time, and say that's 10. Of the number assigned to you over the course of a normal operating year, we'll have an idea of how at capacity you are, and then that lets us take an aggregate look and look at who's sort of under capacity or who's bursting at the seams. Okay, so we'll throttle back trying to send traffic their way till they clear the decks a bit, and then let's look at some of the ones who are being underutilized and see if we can spark some demand for their services. So you can go in there and set the maximum concurrent projects number right there. And then if you have any temporary settings, like over the summer, maybe 3 of your 10 people are on vacation or on leave or something like that, you can just go in and set a temporary maximum with a start date and end date, and just give us a few notes about why, and then the portal will automatically adjust for that. French translation, because this is a pan-Canadian CTO program, and there are a lot of clients and ITAs in Quebec who are going to need the services of centers outside of Quebec. Just helps them better understand what you do if French is their primary language. You can add which languages you can service people in. You can determine which industrial sectors you support. I mean, it's non-binding, but it just shows sometimes your name can pigeonhole you, and this allows you to be more visible in different sectors. And then project supported types, this is, ignore that for right now. Right now all we have is interactive visits, but if we get some of these other pilots going, that might add different sort of things. And then these are your users. Again, you can have as many as you'd like, what role they have, and then are they enabled or not. If you forget your password or anybody forgets your password, just send us an email and then we can go in and reset it for you. Very easy. You'll get an email from the portal with steps on how to go through that. So the interactive visit request form, this is what the companies are going to fill out. And like I mentioned, it's a stage gated approach. And basically, how'd you learn about the program? Are you new or existing? Who's your ITA? If they ask what's an ITA, that's a problem. Company information, this is useful. And then they're going to put in their contact information. Do they know which of the TACs they want to work with? They'll get a list of the center names, their affiliated college, where they're located, in case that's like, oh yeah, it was that center at Mohawk College. Well, then they'll be able to self-serve and figure it out. We're going to read the innovation challenge anyways. So if they pick a TAC and then in reading who they want to work with and what they want to do, it's clearly the wrong TAC, we're going to change the assignment and give it to who they meant to choose. So no harm, no foul. They'll articulate their challenge, how quickly do they want to start, and then there's some questions about their R&D and innovation history. So let's take a look at a project from last year. So this is what you'll see when you get assigned a project. You go in and it'll be the general stuff, the 5 milestones, the project expenses, and then a status history. So I pre-opened everything up, I think. Damn. Okay. So no problem. Yeah, so it was requested September 10th. The project's 5 greens. It was good and it's closed. Name of the company, well, I can ignore that because that's proprietary. The project request, you can go in and check out what the inbound request was. And if you like it, you can accept it. And it shows the date, so it was accepted the next day. And that'll be milestone 1. After we've assigned it to you, you can go in and accept it. The statement of work, there's a summary and the cost, and then uploading the statement of work file. That's all that we needed to see. So we took a look at this. What do you want to do? How much is it going to cost? Okay. And then the ITA, the name, and it was milestone 3 was done September 24th. Did the ITA confirm the visit? Yes, they did. So okay, we'll authorize this amount of money, this many hours, and then this is the date. Here's the file that we upload, the generic agreement. So you can go in, and if you need to download that for your own internal purposes, it's there. And then milestone 5, so we gave that the green light on September 24th, and the project completed. Well, it started September 30th, ended October 4th. Nice quick hit project. Was it business or technical? And then a short summary just for the portal of what was done, couple paragraphs, as well as uploading the final report, which is a more in-depth summary of what happened. Who's the company's point of contact that you worked with, because it may have changed since the project was requested. And then project expenses, invoice number, subtotal, taxes, total, date, and then upload it, the invoice, and then the supporting materials for expenses and so forth. And then the proof of $250, that's actually our status history right there. Follow up with this person, be like, I just want to circle back and get some info on that statement of work. So those are the 5 milestones. That's the portal. So just to show you what happens when a visit comes in, this is one that happened 4 hours ago. Okay, where it'll have the it's from the portal to the company that submitted it, and it automatically copies the IRAP ITA, the users of the TAC, and then ourselves at Tech Access, and says thank you. And then it's a summary of all the information that they put in, where Technology Access Center, yes, I want to work with CERT, okay. Here's their challenge, here's what they want to do, and then the other questions. So the TAC is going to see this email, and they're going to get a chance to read it over. So it hasn't appeared in their portal yet, but it's a heads up that this is coming. So then we at Tech Access are going to take a look at it, make sure everything's in spec, it's a valid company, they've got a real ITA listed. And if that's good, we get a separate email, we log into the portal and assign it to CERT. Now, 3 emails happen. That summary email, an email separate to Tech Access with a link to the portal, and then this one, which goes to the ITA that they listed. And it says basically, hello, a request for an interactive visit has been received by this company. and mention you as their ITA, click on this link and verify that you did refer them. So then Doug would click this, basically has, yes, I referred the company. No, I didn't. I'm not. Every 3 times that they were asked whether their ITA referred them. And then when the ITA gets the make sure the company's keeping their ITAs in the loop. So that is the portal. Let's take a look at some of the documents. What do we got here? Let's do a charge out list. So this is a CERT, proprietary, so it's all blacked out, but the rental rates, the date, May 4th, this is the equipment, this is the description, and then this is their daily rate, or if it's hourly rate or whatever. If you have specific tests, because you're in the biotech sector or something like that, just list them there with their rate. And then we use this as a reference when we get an invoice. Again, this is a template, a sample, you can use it. Scope of work. Here's the people who did it. Here are the hours. It adds up to 20, the rate per hour, the total, and then the balance. And you submit that, what you did, and if there's any other things, that's fine. We can pay that one. Statement of work example, same thing. Using CERT, they do really, really good stuff. Submitted by, project title with the company. What are you going to do? What are the deliverables? How's it going to result? Do you need any other equipment or space? Yes, okay. And then this amount would jive with the unit items here. It's a lot easier if they're listed like one line each, but no problem. The staffing, the name, their title, and then this many hours, this rate, that kind of thing. The total proposed budget, start and stop date. Perfect. If we see that, easy peasy. We can authorize that really quickly, go forth, do work, and then invoice this at the end. So if and on the portal, there's an entire resources section that has a variety of examples and templates you can download, where we're constantly updating it and adding new products. And if there's anything missing, please let us know. We can share examples with you. So that is pretty much the run through of the portal and the documents that I had. Let me just see here. Okay, so back to the PowerPoint for a second. Gonna share. Screen 3. Okay. And share. Okay. So now that we've seen the portal and the different milestones, you see sort of who's responsible for what. And again, the more you just go through it and do it, the easier it'll be. So there's three updates that you're probably going to want to know about, and they're all coming soon. So right now the program's running, like you saw, there's like 100 projects underway. It's all good. I gave you the rules of the road of how it's been, and those are still in effect. There's going to be 3 changes coming online that you should know about, and it's great because you're literally the first people to know about them. Client engagement advisors. So I mentioned them a bit earlier. They are like an ITA, but not. Where there's 350 ITAs across the country. There's going to be CEAs across the country as well, regionally, where they will give a closer look at the companies that you may want to refer into IRAP. So right now, the companies have to call a 1877 number and do a phone interview where it's very binary. It's either yes or no questions. And if you get enough yeses, you're in. Too many no's and they reject you. This is where a CEA will actually meet with the company, learn a bit more about them, and see, okay, balance sheet's a bit ugly. I can see how you answered the question incorrectly, but we see what you're trying to do, and we'd like to help you. And they can help them get into the IRAP program as an eligible client. And as soon as that happens, then you can do an interactive visit with them. So we're going to be assigning 1 CEA per TAC. So you can develop a strong relationship with that person. They will be your IRAP go-to person, and it's going to be great. Strong 2-way referral of traffic, all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for that. That'll be coming later June. The CEAs were getting slammed with the COVID stuff, and then the post that IRAP support. Thing two, timelines. And into some problems last year where honestly, like some was it not invoicing, that kind of thing, because March 31st is that invoice to us on April 3rd, there's nothing we can do. So to make everybody's lives easier, we're going to implement timelines this year. So after the request comes in, and if you need or want to contact the firm, you'll have 2 days to do it. And then once we assign the project, 1 week to accept or reject it. You can again contact the firm, get a few more details, and then after you've accepted the project, 2 weeks to develop and submit the statement of work. And then once that's submitted and we authorize, hours or a day, then we're hoping you'll $50. So you'd upload that authorization date, upload the deliverables to the portal. From there, another 30 days to do the project expenses and invoices, because we understand it can take time for your finance department and everybody to get aligned all together. So that those timelines are going to be enforced as soon as we have them built into the portal, which is coming hopefully by July 1st. And it will automatically prompt you and remind you if you're getting close to those deadlines. And if it's if it's been almost 2 weeks, you haven't submitted the statement of work, and the portal sends you a reminder that, hey, the deadline is X date. After that, the project gets frozen, and then you have to reach out to us to explain, do you want to abandon the project because it's just not going anywhere, or do you need a bit more time, and then we can do an extension. So all of these are sort of built-in safe mechanisms for all of us to just keep everything moving smoothly and make sure that we're once we earmark some of that funding, that the work's actually going to get done and not just be abandoned. We think all these timelines are reasonable. We understand that in some industrial sectors, there's certain times you do the R&D and certain times you cannot. No problem. We can give extensions and customize things. Just let us know. Third thing is just to, again, make everybody's life a bit easier. We'll create the template. You just have to upload it when you're done the project. And that's a signal to us saying, okay, Michelle, Ken, we're done. Here's what we did. Here's the expenses. Here's everything. We're done. And when that milestone's hit in the portal, we'll verify everything and cut you the check. So that's under development, but it'll be coming in July, and that will be again, it's easy. It's not meant to be laborious, but it at least puts everybody on the same page that all the deliverables have been met and everything that's required has been uploaded. So it'll provide you sort of a self checklist before you submit that project closeout form that you've verified all the mandatory requirements and provided us with the supporting material. Oh, there were 4 things. Okay, so to encapsulate all of the last hour of jibber jabber, a program guidebook is coming. Think about it as like the NHL rulebook, which is something like 728 pages and has the most arcane definitions and rules for absolutely everything. We're going to build the same thing for the interactive visits. So it'll give all the definitions of everything, what's in, what's out, a great frequently asked questions section. It'll constantly be evolving, and the newest version will always be in the resources
Can something happen to your audio?
Hey, Michelle, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, everybody. My headset went down. Of course it did. Where was I?
Talking about the coming soon program guidebook.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. Basically, a comprehensive resource to help you with definitions on everything, rules of the road. It'll be really good for new members who are going to be responsible for interactive visits, figuring out what's eligible, ineligible, how does everything work. So we're going to make it very exhaustive and very thorough. And hopefully it'll be out before the end of June. And then that can be the primary reference document that everybody can refer to, and it'll answer all of your questions about the program. Constant State of Evolution will always be available in the resources section on the portal. And so whatever version's there will be the one that we're referring to. But sometimes weird stuff comes up and we have to make a ruling one way or the other with IRAP on it. And so we'll update the guidebook accordingly. So with that, I believe that's everything I wanted to touch on. If there's any questions, let's see here, please let me know.
So if people wanted to unmute their mics and ask Ken any questions, please feel free to do so.
Hi, this is Jason Taylor from Selkirk Technology Access Center, and we have an existing arrangement with our local ITA, and I just want to, it is, an under $5,000 project, and we usually do 10 a year, and it's one of the stages in our process to go to apply for an Engage or slide into our IE program or other access. And I'm just wondering, where would this fit in?
It can be, it can fit in anywhere, really. It's designed to be very flexible. Most people use it as the very initial engagement with a company to filter people in or out. And then from there,
I lost them.
oh,
Can you say that again? Can you cut out?
Just the end.
oh yeah.
So after the first engagement, or this is the first engagement, and then it may move into, the project that we have, and then move again higher up. Okay.
Yeah, as a first step. We've also seen people use them if, say, an ARD2 project that you got approved for and got scoped and had the project plan is underway, and then something weird comes up on the margins, related but not directly related to that project, you could use an interactive visit to smooth out that wrinkle and then get back to the ARD2.
That's great. Thank you.
A quick one, Ken. Earlier was mentioned 20 hours of engagement through this program allows a company to still do NSERC Engage, etc. So if they do the 2 per year maximum, does that still allow them to do an Engage, or is that as soon as they're beyond 20 hours, the Engage is off the table?
Yeah, I mean, the definition of pre-existing relationship has always been very fuzzy. Some people say it's $5,000 worth of engagement, where arguably that could be 2 visits, 40 hours. It's also an honor system because NSERC has no connection to this program whatsoever. So it's relying on you to, police yourselves and if an Engage isn't supposed to have a pre-existing relationship, don't move to an Engage if you've done 4 interactive visits with a company. But from my experience, like nobody's ever double checked anything. Also, we're seeing a lot more people jump immediately to an ARD2 after 2 interactive visits. So just like skipping the Engage completely.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just had another Zoom call come in at the same moment, so sorry for that noise in the background. Thanks.
Are there any other questions from anybody? All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that we have provided a good overview of the Interactive Visits program and that you have the information that you need to be able to start accessing this program. And if you have any questions along the way or along the journey, please.
Sorry, Michelle, I do have a question. Sorry, it's really quick. It's just because we're all new to Technology Access Centers. So does this income we bring in, does that go under industry or does it go under NRC IRAP like as a grant?
It's interesting because it's I mean, the $250 would be money from industry.
Right.
The reimbursement for the interactive visit would be revenue sources other, because it's not from IRAP, it's actually from Tech Access Canada. So it's not directly from IRAP. So how you capture it, it's a little bit curious.
Okay, so it's revenue sources other.
That's correct, yes.
Perfect, thank you. Sorry, Michelle.
No problem at all. No, we're here for you guys. So does anybody else have come up with any other questions? All right. If you come up with anything along the way, feel free to get in touch with us. Ken is the master guru of everything interactive visits. I have a great knowledge of the program and have administrative rights on the portal. So we are happy to help you with anything that you need. And we will be in touch by email with the slides from Ken's presentations and also a link to the video recording. We're always in touch with you guys, so I'm sure we will be discussing, having chats with all of you soon. So take care, and we'll talk to you all very shortly. Bye, everybody.